lesson is on solving equations. The first step when you solve an equation is to simplify. So we need to either combine like terms or distribute. So with example 1 here, we can simplify. We're going to look at the left side and we can simplify. We're going to take the number in front of the parentheses and distribute. So 4 times 1 is 4x. 4 times positive 5 is positive 20. Then we look at the right side. There's nothing on the right to simplify, so I'll just bring it down. Okay, step 2. We're going to cover up the variable. So if you have a highlighter, instead of covering it up, the term, we're going to cover up the variable term. So if you have a highlighter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight instead of cover it up. If you don't have a highlighter, a good strategy is to just cover it up, point at it, so you're not looking at it. What you should be focusing on is what's next to the variable. And we want to make this number 0. So if we put onto this side a negative 20, whatever we do to this side, we have to do the right side. So positive 20, and if we take away 20, that makes 0. So that's gone. And then we're going to bring down the 4x. Over here we have 16 and we have a negative 20. These are different. This is positive, this is negative, so we are going to subtract these. So 20 minus 16 is 4, and we look in front of the bigger number, we get negative 4. Then we're on to our last step. Step 3 is you are going to divide by itself. So the third step is when this is all by itself, that's how we know we're on our last step. And we are going to divide both sides by itself. Now the reason why we're dividing by 4 to both sides is because 4 divided by 4 is 1x. We want x by itself. So we divide it by 4, so these cancel out and make 1. And the reason why I'm crossing this out is because you don't need to put a 1 next to an x. It's implied. So then here we have a negative 4 divided by 4, which is negative 1. Then the nice thing about equations is when you are done, you can check your answer. So to check your answer, you're going to take the original problem, and instead of x, we're going to plug in the negative 1. So negative 1 plus 5, parentheses first, that's 4. And 4 times 4 is 16. So we know that this is the correct answer because when we took out the x and we replace it for the x, we get the same thing on both sides. It's equivalent. Okay, let's go ahead and try another example. have example 2. So step 1 is to simplify. So I'm going to look on the left side, and I can simplify by combining like terms. So I'm going to take the 13x and the negative 10x and simplify that, because 13x minus 10x is negative 3x. So these made negative 3x. Then I'm going to bring down the negative 7. And then if I look to the right side, I can't do anything with 2, so I'm just going to bring down the 2. Step 2, I'm going to cover up the variable term, or if you have a highlighter, highlight it. Okay. Then I need to get rid of this right here. So if I have a negative 7 and I combined it with a positive 7, that's going to make 0. So I'm going to put a positive 7 on the right side. So I have negative 3x equals 2 plus 7 is 9. Okay. Then, when we have the variable term all by itself, that is when we go to the last step, which is to divide by itself. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 3. The reason why we divided by negative 3 is because negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1x. 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3. And if you plug in a negative 3 here and simplify this, you will get 2 if you check it. Okay, let's go ahead and try one more example. Okay, so step 1 is to simplify. Combine like terms or distribute. So I'm going to start on the left side. I cannot simplify the left side. This has an x, this doesn't. I can't distribute. There's no parentheses, a number in front to multiply. So I cannot simplify the left. Then I go to the right. I can't simplify the right side. So step 1, I skip for this problem. I don't need it. Step 2, I'm going to cover up the variable term. Or if you have a highlighter, highlight it. There's something there, so we need to get rid of this 8. So if I have 8, I need to combine it with a negative 8 so that they subtract and make 0. So if I put a negative 8 on this side, I need to put a negative 8 on the right side. These have the same signs. When they're the same, you add. So 8 plus 1 is 9, and then look in front of the bigger number, we get negative 9. Then the last step, when the variable is by itself, the variable term is by itself, the last step is we're going to divide by itself. And the reason why we divide by negative 18 is negative 18 divided by the same number is 1x. So 1x. And then if we divide by negative 18 here, we're going to divide by negative 18 on this side. So then we have a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And then 18 can't go into 9. It's going to be a decimal. So instead of leaving your answer as a decimal, just bring down what you have and simplify it. So 9/18 reduces to 1/2. So x equals 1/2. Now I'm going to show you the check for this one. So if I check this, I want to know, is x really a fraction? Is it really 1/2? So I'm going to take my original problem, and and I'm going to plug in a half right there. So I have a negative 18, so a negative times a positive is a negative. Half of 18 is 9. And then I'm going to bring down the 8. Then 8 minus 9, 9 is bigger, so negative, they're different. It works. It gave, when I plugged in a half and evaluated here, it gave me the same thing on both sides.